And if we move on from Manchester City back over to Everton and talk more generally, Pete, what's the current state of play regarding Everton's ownership and 777 partners?
No, that's the big question. I don't think anybody knows. Obviously, 777 partners have shown their commitment to Everton with these loans to keep the club going over these last few months. It's a real delicate situation at Everton. 777 partners have been quite active and public in being at games as well. So obviously they're hoping to get the green light from the Premier League that they can complete this takeover. And for Everton, they really need it to happen. But then on the flip side of that, you hear all these other scaremongering reports of issues between 777 partners and some of their other clubs across the world as well. So that would be concerning for Everton fans. And then could they pass the fitting person's proper test with the Premier League as well? So there'll be question marks over that. So yeah, it's all up in the air in that one. But you got to admire that 777 partners are in this. They seem to be in it for the long haul because they want to get the deal done, because they're still putting the money where their mouth is, and they're putting money into Everton right now.
And Keith, it sounds like Bramley Moore Dock's still on track. So the world-renowned stadium that we've spoken about previously in a previous episode is still on, still going to be happening. What are your thoughts around this and the delay? Because, of course, when we spoke, it looked like it'd only be a month or so until 777 partners would then take over. They still haven't. What do you make of it?
Well, I think the process was supposed to take 12 weeks, and I think we're now in either the 19th or 20th week of the process, which does indicate there are some severe issues. I think Masters mentioned in the House of Commons that they expected it probably by the end of the month, I think, at the time, and so we're already past that again. So there are obviously issues. It's been reported widely that they've actually put, I think it's 160 or up to 190 million into the club right now. I'm hearing from other sources that may not be the case, that a lot of it is actually almost like an IOU, that there are, we will put the money in if needed. So I'm not sure if it's all quite as simple as that. The Premier League's issue, I think, is that if they approve 777 and then they're proven to be, bad owners, they've got a problem. If they don't approve 777, Everton's got a problem. So the Premier League's in a difficult position on both ways. I still believe there are other potential buyers out there, and I think that is still going to be the best option. And it would depend on what exclusivity deal 777 have with Everton, and whether they have an exclusive on this deal until the Premier League makes a decision, in which case it'd be difficult for other buyers to actually get to the table to do that. But I'm still hopeful that would be the case, and that there is another source out there.
And Keith, you are confident then that they won't walk away, regardless of how long it's taking. You think the Premier League will have to come to a verdict, and then a decision will be made?
I think it has to be. I mean, it's dragged on. They're obviously doing some incredible diligence into what's gone on. As Pete said, look, there's been a lot of reported issues around not only the other clubs they own, but around the other businesses they're involved in. There are numerous lawsuits, for some very serious issues in the States. So there is, passing the smell test is pretty tough right now for 777. And the Premier League would be, in real trouble if they end up with, a problem down the road, maybe in even 6 months down the road if they approve them. So it's a difficult one. And I think the only other option for Everton, as I say, is with a great new stadium, and it is going to be spectacular, a chance to improve their revenues by maybe 40, 50, 60 million pounds a year. Those are the sort of things that we've got to look forward to, but it needs more stability in the background, there's no doubt.
So you think that is the glimmer of hope then for Evertonians? It is the stadium.
It's funny how the stadium has been the cause of these problems, but I think it could well be the saviour of the club in the end, yes.
Yeah, very interesting. I guess, again, remains to be seen what happens. And Pete, how do you see it going? Actually, of course, we've seen Everton's 2 charges going on. 777 are still involved. How much of an impact would it be if Everton, say, are to get relegated for whatever reason, whether that's due to on-field issues and they're not performing, whether it's the points deductions and getting points back and then more points deductions? Would relegation be a real cause for concern for any potential investors?
Yeah, of course, it'll have a major impact on potential investors into the club if they get relegated. Obviously, the price tag for one will go down for anybody looking to buy into the club. So I think that will be one of the major ramifications. I think Everton would still be an attractive proposition to a lot of investors, even if they are in the Championship. They are one of the founding clubs of the Premier League. Obviously, got a great fan base, and obviously got a great new stadium to move into as well at Bramley Moor when it does finally get completed. But ideally, Everton want that to be in the Premier League, not the Championship, because they don't want to be in that brand spanking new stadium playing Championship football. And relegation just has so many other ramifications. You're going to lose a number of your top stars inevitably because they don't want to play in the Championship. So again, Everton could see a number of their best assets leave the club if they do suffer relegation. And there's no guarantee that you can win promotion back straight away. Obviously, you have the parachute payments and everything else to help, but we've seen clubs before be relegated from the Premier League, and it's taken them quite a long time to get back to where they feel. Leeds obviously had a very big fall from the Premier League at that time when they dropped down 2 leagues, and other clubs have done similar as well. I'm sure Everton wouldn't want that to happen to them if the worst did happen and they did suffer relegation from the Premier League. I think they've had a good season up to now, and unfortunately without 10 points deduction, if they didn't have that, they would be sitting in mid-table and comfortable. And I think Sean Dyche has done a really good job with what he's been able to work with at Everton due to the restrictions in the transfer market as well. He's not been able to go out and splash the cash as well. But yeah, relegation would be a nightmare for Everton because obviously I think for investment it could hamper that, and I think also it could mean a number of top stars leave the club as well.
Keith, you predicted back in early December that Everton would stay up. We're now halfway through the season. Are you still confident, regardless of off-field issues and the points deductions? Do you think with the current squad Everton do stay up?
Yeah, I do. I'm still pretty bullish on that. I think looking at the fixture list till the end of the season, I think there's enough points in there for them to at least finish outside the relegation places. Look, relegation, though, would be an absolute nightmare, as Pete said. I lived it when I took over at Aston Villa. It was the season that they'd just been relegated from the Premier League. And I understand the reality of trying to get out the Championship as much as anybody. And it is a very, very tough job to do that. And it took Villa 3 years, and that was the last year of the parachute payments. And if they hadn't got up that year, then they may well still be down there like a Leeds and a Forest were for many, many years. Hopefully Everton can do a Leicester if they go down, but it's very, very hard. And as Pete says, it will be reflected in the price tag for the club, but it's that asset of the stadium that would be keeping investors interested and seeing the value in that asset and the whole area around the new stadium that they could make some property deals in. So there is some hope. But no doubt on the football side, relegation could be very, very dangerous.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.